So hello friends, today we will be continuing the discussion on neoplasia. It's actually part 3 of the neoplasia. We have yesterday discussed about this comparison curve. We stopped here on this comparison curve where we said this curve is discussing about the growth of the tumors. The rate of the growth is actually decreasing after the uh, tumor becomes clinically significant, gives us those clinical features as said by the comparison. Due to the competition between intercompetition, I can say, between the cancer cells. Now today I want to whatever we have discussed, I want that to bring that in a tubular form. So we'll tabulate it. We'll write some points important for you clinically and also from the entrance exam point of view. So you should write the way I'm writing. Okay. So if I talk about, we said about the benign and malignant tumors, I want you to remember some differences about benign and malignant tumors. So let us draw a table. So this is a benign, and here you write the malignant. And from this side, we'll be writing some features. Okay. I will be randomly changing the pens. The pen which I will be marking in red will be important. Okay. So the whatever I write in red will be important. So you have to see the important difference. So if I talk about the rate of growth of tumor, which was rapidly increasing, which tumor was rapidly increasing, benign or malignant? Beautiful answer, Sana. Malignant tumor is rapidly increasing. So rapid. Okay. But remember, it's not always that it will be rapid. It can be slow also. But as a general, making it, differentiating from benign. So if we wrote rapid here, then we should write slow here. Easy. What about invasiveness? From the two tumors, which do you think are more invasive? Benign or malignant? It's so easy to answer. You can yourself, malignant, that's a beautiful answer. So it's invasive. And this is non-invasive. Okay. So you were actually lying to me yesterday, isn't it? Sir, we did not understand anything. See, you know everything. Then you come to class and say, sir, we don't know anything, isn't it? You come to class and then say, sir, we don't know. This is actually a good trick, isn't it? To come to the class again and again, isn't it? Guys, you should not come to class. You know everything, isn't it? Your brain is awesome. Okay. What about the metastasis? About the metastasis, guys. Who will be more metastatic? Who will show metastasis, by the way? More. What about more? It's metastatic. Very nice. So this will be metastatic. This I should clearly write non-metastatic. I can't write but more non-metastatic. That will become a feature. Maybe a benign tumor can, no. By iatrogenic means I can spread that. So let me write no metastasis seen. Isn't it? We have to take care of every word whatever I speak. No metastasis seen. So this is metastasis. Now let me write about differentiation. Differentiation. What about differentiation? Which tumor will be well differentiated? Which tumor will be well differentiated? Beautiful answer. Benign tumor will be well differentiated. And this will be going from well differentiated to ill differentiation. Fine. From well differentiation. What else can we think? I think growth. Which will, okay, let us write like this. which will have a capsule so that it can remain encapsulated. Beautiful answer. Benign will be capsulated. Not capsulated, actually encapsulated. There should be no capsule. See. What about the nuclear cytoplasmic ratio, which will have more amount of nuclear cytoplasmic ratio? So you will have more in metastatic. Okay, it will be equal to 1:1. But what about benign? Benign will be having around, you will have a normal ratio, remember. Normal ratio of what? 1:4, 1:6. Right? Is it clear, friends? So what about the pleomorphism? Which of the following will be showing pleomorphism? Who is showing pleomorphism? It's malignant, because malignant is going more towards undifferentiated side. So it should be malignant. Very nice. So pleomorphism. Seen. Okay, tick. Hair uniformity. Okay. So here you have uniformity. Here you have pleomorphism. Fine. So what is pleomorphism? Means cell size, cell shape. Let us write next. We know everything. We are just applying our concepts. That's it. Whatever we have learned, we are putting this concept here. Okay. So in which of the following do you think the cell will lose its polarity? I told you the more you are going towards an undifferentiated side, more towards, polarity will be get lost. So the cellular orientation, this will be normal in benign, but losing polarity. Okay, losing polarity. This is important, guys. Losing polarity. Which of the following do you think, benign or malignant, will be having more amount of stroma? Stroma. Stroma will be more in benign tumors, because they are more amount of, I hope you understand. So stroma, more amount of stroma, here more amount. Here I should write here 4 arrows, here I write 1 arrow. I hope you understand. Or I can write 1 plus or minus like this to make life easy. This should be plus, 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 plus. This should be plus. What about the chromatin? Chromatin. Who is showing more chromatin color? Benign or malignant? Definitely malignant should be hyperchromatic. This should be normal. Benign is this, malignant is hyperchromatic. This is hyperchromatic because you said you have increased the nuclear cytoplasmic ratio also. You are yourself seeing, isn't it? So here I should have a normal. Here I should have a normal nuclear chromatin. Fine. Which of the following will be showing atypical mitotic figures? Atypical mitotic figures. Atypical mitotic figures will be seen here more. Very nice. Malignant. Here only 1 plus I should write, or rare, plus or minus. Okay. Are we having any doubt in this table from our previous discussion? If you have listened my 2 lectures, one lecture I gave a detailed lecture. One first neoplasia, one part I give a detailed lecture, and here we are summarizing the things. If at that time you have fully concentrated on neoplasia topic, you can very well understand these things. Are we clear, friends? Guys, are we clear? Or we are watching TV, or we are watching any sort of a serial where you get a loss of interest and then you start thinking like that. Okay. So when were we clinically, according to the comparison curve, when were we clinically able to detect, where is that graph? I think we have, where is that graph, guys? The graph has disappeared. Uh, Actually, the graph has disappeared, guys. 10 to the power 8, exactly. But I want to, yeah, exactly. So you can write either 10 to the power 8, or if they ask you in grams. So if they ask you how much gram of tumor can be clinically detectable. So let me write clinically detectable tumors. It's a conclusion given to you. Write a box, guys. Write a box. So clinically detectable tumor. So clinical detectable tumor when, if, write like this, if tumor mass is equal to 1 gram, if tumor cells, this is what you should remember on the tip of your tongue, 10 to the power 8 or 10 to the power 9, or there is 30 cell doublings. Just remember, if you can understand, 30 cell doublings. If a tumor cell has undergone 30 cell doublings, you would call it a clinically detectable tumor. Are we clear with this? Are we clear with this, guys? Okay. Because yesterday you were saying, sir, we need to have that understanding. So that's why I'm going slow for you people. Okay. This chart should be on the tip of your tongue, really. It's important. Fine. Fine, new students, fine. Okay, let us come from this side. Let us make another table for ourselves to get again that revision of what we know from the basics of pathology. Let us write MDA. Let us write MDA. Okay, last box. So if you want to copy also, you can check the video. I am giving you everything on the YouTube. So wherever you find you have forgotten anything, you can listen to that. That's why I have given you. Okay. So let us write this metaplasia. Dysplasia, anaplasia, because we have a student in the class, Anabina. What is the student name? Anabina. So she can remember more about this anaplasia, isn't it? Then there is a sister of her name is Fabina. So they are Anabina, anaplasia, Fabina. So basically they were made for MBBS medicine. Okay. They were made for MBBS actually from since birth. That's why. So you have metaplasia. Now this metaplasia, basically people are laughing. I can understand your sentiments. Metaplasia means, first thing you will tell me is, all are all these are reversible cellular changes or irreversible cellular changes? Are all these reversible cellular changes or irreversible cellular changes? These are, that is where you are making a mistake. Okay. That's why I taught you in the basics of pathology. You have forgotten. I told you we don't strictly use any term. No, this is also wrong answer. Irreversible is also wrong answer. So now probability is not gone. Probability is not there. Anything 50-50 probability gone. You were having a 50% probability of answering anything. Now that is also gone. So what will happen now? Now I have to answer. Okay. So this is metaplasia is reversible. That means you are forgetting. You have to revise, my dears. Okay. It's okay if you don't remember right now, but please revise for your exams also. So metaplasia is reversible. What about dysplasia? I won't say strictly reversible. Dysplasia will be a partial, maybe partially I can write, partially reversible. What about anaplasia? Anaplasia will be an irreversible change. But anaplasia has two stages: early anaplasia stage, late anaplasia stage. So that means late will be irreversible, early will not be irreversible. Not really, but I'm talking about anaplasia. Okay, yeah. So pleomorphism, pleomorphism, pleomorphism. So that means if it is reversible, that means it should not have pleomorphism. So so easy to remember. Early stage is reversible. Yes, exactly. Early stage reversible. Okay. So I am writing about anaplasia. Please understand this fact. Don't get confused between the two. Okay. After studying from standard textbooks, I can write this. Okay. There are many things written. No one is wrong actually, but yeah, we will follow the standard. Okay. So this is irreversible. Okay. Pleomorphism, that means if it is reversible, it should be absent. There should be beginning, or I can say a less amount of pleomorphism. And here I can write more pleomorphism. Okay, if you want to write fast, what we do? We'll do like this, isn't it? This is actually a very nice way to save time, isn't it? Then what we write? We'll be writing about NC ratio. What about the NC ratio? Nuclear cytoplasmic ratio, that means metaplasia. That means, yeah, it should be normal. Normally, you can take it 1 to 4, 1 to 8. That's normal, isn't it? Dysplasia, sir, dysplasia. You are going into a pleomorphic change. Yes, then should be increasing. Then should be increasing. Very nice. Pleomorphisms are here more because, sir, you are saying it is a reversible change and cells are actually changed. The pleomorphism is high grade, so it should be equal to what? Dash. Dash. If anaplasia is having increased pleomorphism, then the NC ratio should become dash. 1:1. 1:1 from the previous discussion. 1:1, isn't it? Fine. My dears, are we clear? Here I wrote 1:4 because I taught you the beginning. See, everything is dependent on the more you go up, the basics you forget, then you won't understand. See, I taught you here. Okay, I'm using the same concept. I'm not giving anything new. It's all just applying those concepts. I'm applying the concepts which I have learned. Okay, so which will be having more amount of chromatin? Hyperchromasia. Hyperchromasia, not seen, sir. Metaplasia, reversible change, normal nuclear cytoplasmic ratio will be present, will be more present. Okay, will be more present. What about mitosis? What about mitosis? Metaplasia, mitosis, metaplasia will changing one cell by another type of the cell, but a differentiated one. Yeah, it should be a minimal. Minimal. It should be minimal. Hair should begin to increase. Okay, and then here you can say more amount of mitosis and atypical, isn't it? Can we understand the feature? Isn't it? Atypical. Okay. Hey guys. So what is atypical, by the way? What is the definition of atypical? Who can tell us the definition of atypical mitosis? Yeah. There are two things in the world. One is yes, sir. One is no, sir. And one is Google. Don't use that. I know what Google can write. Mm-hmm. My dear, you should try. Yes, sir. No, sir. All the guys are sleeping, isn't it? What about others? Searching the books or copies. Okay, so let me write. Don't know it. Let me write atypical mitosis. Atypical mitosis, please remember the definition, a simple definition. If you see any sort of an increased proliferative activity, okay, you see any sort of an increased proliferative activity plus abnormal cell division, this concept is called atypical mitosis. Can anyone give me the example now? We have a nice example, tripolar mitosis. Is tripolar mitosis? By the way, you may have listened to this sign, unfortunately. Mercedes Benz sign. Okay, Mercedes Benz sign is seen in tripolar mitosis. Clear? Okay. Okay. Now Imam will tell me, the student, what is loss of polarity? What is loss of polarity? What is loss of polarity? Yeah. Yeah. We want contribution from everyone so that we can have an active class. Is the student present? Emma, student. Don't know. So loss of polarity means if you have a disturbed orientation, plus disorganized mass plus anarchic. This is the meaning of loss of polarity. That means your every normal cell should have a polarity. Your cell has a orientation in a in a way it's oriented. There is an organization of the masses. Whatever you are forming, that is organized, that has been built for a purpose. You would say, sir, cancer cell is also built for a purpose. It is a malified purpose. Cancer cell is made for a malified purpose. It's not a bona fide purpose. It's a malified purpose. That is, things are happening for some personal matter. They are not happening for the total benefit of the society, that is the body. Okay, so this is what you have to remember, guys. That why I gave you this table, because I am summarizing whatever we have learned from the first day of, let us say, something about the so we have talked more about the cells. We have said there are atypical mitotic spindles. We are saying there is more hyperchromatic thing, there are irregular borders. There is basically loss of polarities because of cell to cell adhesion is lost. Do we know that cadherin? We have cadherin molecules between the cells. We have cadherin molecules. So if you get loss of these cadherin, these are basically, what is the meaning of cadherin? What is cadherin? It is basically cell to cell attachment molecules, cell to cell adhesion molecules. And I hope you remember the calcium from this. Cell to cell adhesion molecules. If you don't know basics of histology, then it's very much difficult to understand neoplasia, because it's all on a histology. It's all on histology, nothing else. So what is the biochemistry of a cancer cell? If I go towards, because I am connecting every subject, so what is the biochemistry? What is the biochemistry of cancer cell? Yeah. First, you will tell me what is a neoplastic cell. Is it a monoclonal or polyclonal? What should be the monoclonality? What should be the monoclonality? Is it present in cancer cell or not? Yes, cancer cell should have a monoclonal origin. That is, it develops from a single precursor cell. If you have a single precursor cell, you should have that monoclonality. Okay. So it has been seen that proliferations, polyclonal proliferations, they have been seen 99% of the times. They are non-neoplastic. They are non-neoplastic. Okay. Now, how will you say, sir, a cell is monoclonal? You will be checking some enzymes. You will be checking some markers. That means if a cell is monoclonal, it should express only one type of isoenzyme, isn't it? If it got, for example, I made a cancer cell from A tissue, then every cell of the A tissue should have A antigen on it. Isn't it, guys? Isn't it? A marker will be used. It's common sense. Common LKG, lower kindergarten student will also say, sir, it is this. There is no need to use any rocket science. So this A will be, it will be, monoclonal. It will be establishing a monoclonal tumor expression, isn't it? It is establishing that I am a monoclonal tumor. Okay. So it's expressing monoclonality. Okay. So what about polyclonal? They will be having isoenzymes of various sequences, and also some markers of varied there will be variability in them. Okay. Talking about the metabolism of a cancer cell, not to go in that much detail, just giving you a link to biochemistry. Because if I land into then biochemistry, then start teaching you anaerobic glycolysis, lactic acid production, and all that. So in biochemical processes happening in a malignant cell, they are mostly doing their everything on anaerobic glycolysis. Anaerobic glycolysis. Anaerobic glycolysis. Whatever energy they get, they are relying on this. That means anaerobic glycolysis has dash. It will produce the product as lactic acid. Lactic acid will be the product. So that means once you have a hypoxic state in the cell, hypoxia means the tissue status of oxygen. Wrong. The oxygen status of the tissue. The oxygen status of the tissue will be determining the amount of lactic acid produced. Okay, so in me as a normal cell, I'm getting the oxygen very nicely. I'm doing the glucose, I'm making pyruvate, I'm sending into the ATC, I'm making ATPs. Finally, I'm regenerating everything. Okay, but in cancer cells, we are having a lactic acid production metabolism so that they are not left to the mercy of oxygen. They don't let themselves to to the mercy of oxygen. Okay. And another thing is that the way they are using the glucose is that they are using more glucose than the normal cell. That means they will increase the uptake of glucose. That is why on this principle, once this is a cancer cell, it opens the doors for glucose so that it can take as much as glucose it can take. So that's why we use this principle in the radiology. If I connected it to the scan, that is called a PET scan. What is the meaning of PET scan? It's positron emission tomography. So in positron emission tomography, we are using a radioactive tagging of the glucose. We radio tag the glucose, fluorodeoxyglucose, and then we know a cell is taking glucose. So when we tag that, for example, this is a glucose molecule. I'm tagging this with FDG. Okay. So FDG, when I tag this, that means a cell which is taking it will become colorful. It will emit something. I'll be teaching you that principle. So we are using this principle. I gave you connection with the radiology. We are using this PET scan so that we can do what? We can diagnose, we can stage, we can monitor the therapy. We can monitor the therapy. Okay. Fine. And we have seen, especially if I go into the urology, there is a cancer we have, that is the prostate cancer. Prostate cancer in males, we have seen they are using a special pathway, that is beta oxidation of fatty acids. They are using the beta oxidation of fatty acids as a pathway. What were you seeing normally in a cell? Dash. You were seeing normally dash. Guys, in a cancer cell, you were seeing dash metabolism. Then people are gone. I think people are sleeping, yeah? You were seeing dash metabolism in a normal cell. As you know, cancer cell. In a cancer cell, you were seeing dash metabolism. You should write in short. You don't need to write full details. I can understand the acronyms. Very nice answer. So we see anaerobic. We see anaerobic glycolysis. But what we are seeing in the prostate carcinoma, we are seeing beta oxidation of fatty acids. We don't see. It's more than. It's significant. Okay. This was just a correlation. This is the way they are using. And another thing is that the G6PD isoenzymes. Okay. If I talk about the G6PD, what is G6PD? Glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase isoenzyme. Okay. Once we were seeing the cancers, the tumors, we saw that these G6PD isoenzymes were actually indicators, classic indicators of monoclonality. Okay. See, in the early embryonic life, the X chromosome gets inactivated. So if a female is heterozygous for G6PD enzyme, will have mosaic cell types. Okay. So if you are not able to understand, so just remember that G6PD isoenzyme is also being used. Okay. I'm just giving you should know at least these things. Another gene was Hamara gene. What is Hamara? Who will tell me the definition of Hamara? I will give you a chocolate. Human androgen receptor gene. I hope you have read in embryology. If you have opened the books, human androgen receptor gene. What is human receptor androgen gene? We use this gene to determine the monoclonality. Can we understand my language, what I am telling? What we see what is the methylation. I will tell you what points you have to remember. We see the methylation. Methylation status of this gene. Okay. So we are checking some genes in some, in the population group. So just remember, human androgen receptor gene is also used to check the monoclonality. So what things were you using? You were using what? Glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase isoenzyme, X-linked markers. Okay. What else? We also had some two enzymes, iduronate, 2-sulfatase. I hope you remember from biochemistry. Or we had phosphoglycerate kinase also, which was a polymorphic X-linked marker, isn't it? So this is what you have to just remember. Just remember, link this with biochemistry and cellular, all that. Okay. Or you see Burkitt's lymphoma. In Burkitt's lymphoma, there is what? 814 translocation. You have to learn this by heart. There is 814 translocation so that you can check the clonality. Okay. So we have these things to do the monoclonality. So for example, you want to say, sir, I have a B cells in my hand and I want to see its monoclonality. Sir, how to check? You can check in many ways. Number one, you can go for immunoglobulins. You can go for an immunoglobulin assay. You can go for immunoglobulin gene rearrangement check. you can go for these two you remember first. Okay, these two you remember first. So if you want to see the monoclonality of B cell, how to do the monoclonality of B cell? Can we understand the terminology of monoclonality, guys? Don't tell in the end who was the queen of the story. Okay, don't tell in the end. Don't do that blunder. Okay, so B cell monoclonality, number one, I can write broad headings: immunoglobulins. Immunoglobulins. See, guys, immunoglobulins. Who will produce immunoglobulins are B cell. B produces plasma. Plasma produces antibodies, isn't it? Do we know this relation? So any B cell malignant tumor will be producing immunoglobulins. So you can tell us whether they are cytoplasmic or they are surface immunoglobulin. Or you have seen, I hope I have taught you in the basics, multiple myeloma. In multiple myeloma, the immunoglobulins are secreted and you can check them in the serum. So what you can do, immunoglobulins, you can, from the B cell malignancies, they are secreting immunoglobulins, and these immunoglobulins can be of two types. They can be cytoplasmic or they can be surface immunoglobulin. Cytoplasmic immunoglobulin, surface immunoglobulin. Or you can check for multiple myeloma. We will be learning them in detail in the blood, all blood neoplasms, WBC neoplasm. So multiple myeloma, in this you are having secretion. They secrete the immunoglobulins. So that means when they secrete this immunoglobulin in the blood, you can check them in the serum. So can you check now the monoclonality? Yes, sir. Now, if sir B cell is polyclonal, if B cell or plasma cell is polyclonal, they will not be producing isoimmunoglobulins. They will be producing heterogeneous immunoglobulin molecule. And we have seen the B cell malignancies which are producing polyclonal cell proliferations. We have seen they show us majority show us two specificities. What did I say? Two specificities: kappa specificity, lambda specificity. So let me write, if B cell is showing hetero, what to write? Polyclonal. We should write first polyclonal. Why to write hetero? Should write first if they are showing polyclonal. For understanding these concepts, you should have also the knowledge of immunology. That's what we are starting in the microbiology. Okay. People say that it's a dry subject, but it's really interesting. It's everything. It's everything, believe me. This polyclonal, if you want to say, sir, B cell is polyclonal. Okay, what was the definition of polyclonal, monoclonal? Monoclonal was telling us the origin is from a single precursor cell. And mostly all the neoplasms will be monoclonal. And polyclonal proliferations are not necessarily non-neoplastic. They are not always non-neoplastic. Okay, it's like that they are not showing us non-neoplastic. Means you can say monoclonality is neoplasms will show monoclonality, non-neoplasms will show polyclonality. This is how you can remember. This is how we can remember. Okay, fine. So this polyclonality you can demonstrate by seeing, we have seen these polyclonality is shown by two. Either they will be kappa specific, we'll be learning about them, just understand for this moment. And others can be showing us lambda specificity. So kappa, it's not lambda, it's lambda. Okay, this is how you can remember. So if I tell you now, I ask you a question, I want to see the monoclonality. I say these B cells are monoclonal. What will they show? They will show either kappa or lambda. That is what you have to understand. If I give you a monoclonal, if I give you, for example, a bowl, I give you a bowl and I have immunoglobulins in it, and I tell me whether it is monoclonal or polyclonal. What you will do? You will say, sir, either they are monoclonal, either all will be monoclonal or all will be lambda, but not both. But not both. And that's what we have seen in the B cell neoplasms. We have those cytoplasmic and surface immunoglobulins. But in case of multiple myeloma, we have secretions. Then I am telling you, I give you a bowl. In that, I am telling you this is a monoclonal. I'm telling you it's monoclonal, but I tell you what thing will let you speak that this is monoclonal. You would say, sir, in this bowl, I am having kappa, either these will be kappa specific or these all will be lambda specific. Then only you can say it is monoclonal. But if I give you another bowl and I say this is polyclonal, you will be simply saying, sir, definitely there is some will be kappa, some will be lambda. Are we clear? So in monoclonality, you should either speak one word, kappa or lambda. If doctor is writing kappa, pathologist is writing kappa, monoclonality. If pathologist is writing 5 were seeing kappa, 6 were seeing lambda, directly write it's a polyclonal B. And we know from the basic concept that polyclonals they are non-neoplastic. Polyclonals will be, if you have polyclonal proliferations, they are always almost non-neoplastic. Are we understanding this simple line? This will change your life if you understand this. So what is the concept of immunoglobulin gene arrangement? Who can tell us? Immunoglobulin gene rearrangement. What is the concept? There is one word in the world, yes or no, isn't it? You can choose up or you can choose down. You can choose up, you can choose down. Should contribute, guys, contribute and study books. I'm not testing anyone. We are just having a discussion here. So you should contribute. If you are not answering, then I will be personally asking you an audio, isn't it? Personally asking you an audio in the class itself. There are other students. Yeah, so it's so simple, guys. Immunoglobulin gene rearrangement is seen in which case? First, you should understand that whenever B cell is maturating. So that means you haven't read immunology. B cell maturation. It is seen in B cell maturation. Okay. Now, do you remember from your mathematics that we had some permutations and combinations? Like how many things can be arranged by how many things? The problem with B cell maturation rearrangement is that you can't count them. Okay. So what we did is we did some assumptions. We said B cell will be having some markers. They will be having some specific arrangement. Okay. So, sir, what do you want to say in short? I want to say normal B cell maturation will be showing countless amount of rearrangement. But if I give you a neoplastic proliferation, there will be more number of cells and they will be sharing that immunoglobulin rearrangement pattern. That means they will also be telling us the origin. If I have a mass of B cells, if these B cells are sharing that pattern, if I have a pattern on B cell 3 dots, then if this B cell is also having 3 dots, I will say, yeah, they are sharing the origin, same origin. They are from the same cell. So these are the techniques from which you can identify the monoclonality. Are we clear? So that means we need a nice molecular biology techniques, diagnostic techniques to identify them. So where do you mostly speak about immunoglobulin? Do you speak about T cells or do you speak about B cells? When I tell you about mostly B cells or T cells, let us make like this. Very nice. B cells. So that means can I say that immunoglobulin gene rearrangement approach can be used to determine the B cell tumor? Can I say very nice? Okay, so that's why we are using this immunoglobulin gene rearrangement for the B cell origin. To check the B cell origin, I am using this rearrangement. Simple. So what about T cells then? Then a question will likely arise in your brain, sir, what about T cell, isn't it? Isn't it, guys? Then a question should arise on T cells. Should arise or not? If you are using a marker for rearrangement for B cells, what about T cells? T cells, we are using surface antigen markers. We also have a T cell receptor gene arrangement, but that is about T cell receptor gene arrangement. Here I was talking about the B cell gene rearrangement, isn't it? B cell maturation arrangement. So let me write something about, just I'm giving you some correlations so that your life becomes easy, okay? While approaching the tumors, your life becomes easy. At least you know these tools. These tools will remain handy, okay? That's what we are doing here. So let me write. Is everyone able to understand, guys? Or we are sleeping? Are you tired? Are you tired? I can take 5 or 10 minutes, because see, if we don't give more time, then we won't be able to complete it. We need to give more time. Okay. Since our childhood, we have been studying like that, 12 hours, 13 hours. So it's not a problem, I think, isn't it? So let us say, what about T cell origin? How will you determine the T cell origin, guys? How to determine T cell origin? See, you will be using some surface antigen markers. Surface antigen markers. Okay. Remember, this is a little T cell. This is a adult T cell, isn't it? He is knowing everything, isn't it? Adult. Let us write him adult, because I think today in this world people are proudly saying we are adults. Okay. So this is T cell. You can check, just remember, you can check the surface markers. You can demonstrate that. I can use a word, nice word, demonstrate. When you have a mature T cell. Okay. So this this marker you can use to tell us whether which is the stage of maturation. The T cells maturate. I hope you remember the thymus. There you are producing in the bone marrow, but you are maturing them in the thymus, the training school of T. Training school of T is thymus, isn't it? So there we are, what we are doing, we are maturating them. Okay. Once T cell is proliferating, they will be sharing surface markers in common. So that means if I have a T cell, this T cell should have a proliferative marker with another T cell. If this gave birth to these T cells, then definitely it should have a DNA of my father and mother, isn't it? Same way we are using the surface antigen like we were using the B antigen. Okay. Surface antigens, the concept, the word I am using, you will be saying, sir, it is the same thing. No. There we were using the gene rearrangement. Here I'm telling about surface markers. T cells will be showing us some surface markers. If all of them are having 1, 1, 1, if all of them have 1, 1, 1, I will say this T cell is monoclonal. Again, like that, same. Like you have what? CD4. That means every helper T cell should have CD4. If a T cell has CD4, what will I say? I will say it's a helper T cell. If a T cell has CD8, what I will say? It is a cytotoxic T cell. That is what the basis you are speaking about. CD8, CD4 is basically the surface marker. You say clusters of differentiation. So you have CD8. If this is having a, let me make 8 on the surface. So this is also having 8 on the surface. I should say it is a cytotoxic cell. T cytotoxic. And if I see a cell having H on this, sorry, 4 on this. If I see a cell having 4 on this, I would say it is, what should be the name? T helper cell. So this is the live example. Don't think that I'm making my example. It's basically, this is immunology. You should have this basic concept. Do we remember we had an immunoglobulin gene rearrangement in B cell? Do we remember we had an immunoglobulin gene rearrangement? Here we have T cell gene arrangement. Here we have T cell gene arrangement. So I'm using analogous. What were we using here? Here was immunoglobulin. Here was T cell, was surface antigen. Here was uh, what did we write? Immunoglobulin gene rearrangement. Now on the other side, the second will be T cell receptor. T cell receptor gene rearrangement. Are we able to understand, guys? Guys, are we able to understand? If I say, see, we make your life easy. I have two hands. Right hand, I have B cell. Left hand, I have T cell. I am telling you B cell, I will be checking indicator. Number one indicator, what you will remember. If I want to see the monoclonality, immunoglobulins, this should be the first word. Now in that B cell, I am telling you have to contribute, guys. You have to speak with me. Otherwise, you won't remember it. You will be in writing notes for whole life, but not remembering anything. Okay. That's what is happening in medical school and everywhere. You are writing notes, but you are not knowing what is happening. Okay. Concept is not there. So B cell in your hand, and I'm telling you, I give you a bowl and I saw everyone having kappa. What clonality will you say? What clonality will you say? Beautiful answer. Beautiful, Sana, Zoeb, Supriya. So if I say it is having a lambda chain specificity, dash clonality, again monoclonality. I say 10 cells have lambda, 5 cells have kappa, dash clonality, polyclonality. Beautiful answer. Beautiful answer. Then I say, I finish the immunoglobulin. Now I tell you surface antigen marker. Surface antigen marker will be used to demonstrate dash mature T cell. Beautiful answer. Then I tell you, I saw a T cell. It was having all 15 T cell in my bowl. It was having CD4 antigen dash cell. It was having CD4 antigen dash cell. Beautiful. T helper cell. Then I tell you, is it monoclonality or polyclonality? Is it showing me monoclonality or polyclonality? Beautiful answer. Is it showing me a same functional subclass or different functional subclass? Is it showing me same functional subclass? Exactly. It is showing me the same functional subclass. Are we clear? Then I have another cell in my hand and I'm telling you, I am having a CD8 marker on all of the 20 cells. Dash T cytotoxic. Now start. See, listen to me. A patient came to me and patient tells me, the pathologist, he is coming with a pathologist report and he's telling me, I have a malignancy, CD8 malignancy. Should I suspect the origin from monoclonal or polyclonal? Yeah, beautiful, cytotoxic cell, yeah. So suspect malignancy. No, my dears, 8 will divide from 8, isn't it? Now that is another question, that immunoglobulin and T cell per cell have their contacts by interleukin. That's a different question. Here I am talking about indicators of monoclonality. If you want to see monoclonality in malignancies of T cell origin, you can use the surface markers. They are actually giving you a definite answer. And what cell? So if I say on one hand I have immunoglobulin gene rearrangement for B cell, then on the left hand I should have for T cell dash. I say on the right hand I am checking the immunoglobulin gene rearrangement. Then on the T cell I should be checking surface antigen. No, I should be checking T cell receptor gene arrangement. Surface is done, my dear. That is analogous to that immunoglobulin and all. No, I'm making you remember those 2 points. Are we clear, friends? So this was immunological, connection with this. Okay. So I wanted to make a diagram for you so that you can understand the difference between a normal cell and a uh, malignant cell. But maybe we discuss that tomorrow because we have spent more time here. But it was worth understanding the things. Okay. So I hope you have understood it. So tomorrow we will be continuing this discussion. Okay. So we will be discussing some important topics tomorrow, and then we land into some carcinogens and ways that we are spreading things and how what factors are actually regulating them. So thank you very much for your time and patience. So keep reading books and conceptually understand the things. So see you all in the next class. Take care and bye bye.